Good morning. You know what? I don't actually need my headphones on. I do not. All right. Well, good morning. I hope it sounds fantastic, as good as it can, being that it's my voice. I hope you all had a fantastic weekend. I hope last week went well for you, and I hope to give you some news that you guys can take into next week. So, for all of you that are new, welcome to the show. We cover cloud news, Kubernetes news, and some open source. This week's open source topic was storage. We actually have everything from Linux file systems to Kubernetes distributed files. So it's pretty awesome, and stick around for that. Now, for next week, give me your favorite open source security tool. That's what we're looking for next week. So either join the Discord, it's in the description, or or leave a comment on the YouTube video, or do both, because YouTube likes the comment and Discord's easy to track. We have a live stream channel there, and you get to talk with a bunch of other nerds while you're at it. So go ahead and give that a shot, and thanks everybody for participating in that. Awesome. So yeah, stick around to the end to see that. Then my last little bit, everything that I say here is the opinion of myself. Wow, I said that weirdly. I don't know how a better way of saying that. Everything's my opinion. And haven't been paid or asked to say anything by anybody. I think my mic's a little bit hot. I'm going to make that a little bit colder. Am I too quiet now? Hopefully not. Hopefully not. Okay, so haven't been paid or asked by anybody to say anything, so all opinions are my own. Not particularly good opinions either, so if you're sticking around for the opinions, don't do that. All right, let's jump into the news. First, since I would say that the people that are around for my news are probably my most dedicated customers. I don't sell anything, but yeah, my most dedicated. So I'm going to open something up to you all. I mean, it's public on the web, but nobody knows about it. But I'm going to open it up. There's going to be a video made on it shortly. I've actually been learning Resolve, and that's about to be a video of its own because basically Adobe forced me to learn Resolve, which I'm really angry about, and it slowed down my compaction video because I'm learning a new editor. But that compaction video is finally done, so it's going to come out this Friday. So happy next weekend. You're going to have a 20-minute video to watch. But that being said, probably the next video after that is going to be about this. I have made a blog the absolute hardest way. Go ahead, check it out. The coolest part about this blog is it runs on in my home on Kubernetes, but we have it exposed with TLS certs and everything. It's pretty awesome. Now, that being said, I don't like exposing my home's IP address. I do have a static IP address and just prefer not to do it. So I don't think you can. Russell half verified this, but go ahead and try to find my home IP address. If you can, let me know. I'd like to know before I publicly make a video about this. So anyways, here it is. nullcloud.io. It looks like garbage because I'm not a front-end developer. Do you want to know a fun part about this? Real fun, really quickly. You see this is like not correct, but it's only that way on Firefox. On Edge, it actually looks perfectly correct. On Edge and Brave. On Chrome, it's not even the right colors. It's not the dark blue, but it has the right image. It's just an SVG. I don't know how Firefox is screwing up an SVG. I got to look into that. It's an SVG. I don't know. Anyways, interesting. This is part of why I'm not a front-end developer. I suck at it. I suck at it. Anyways, go ahead and check that out. Let me know what you think. Love to hear your guys' feedback. I actually hope to do a lot of educational content around that. I hope to actually leverage it to like bring some things as a service and like get to build everything out. I put a lot of work into it, and yeah, so we'll see how we get to use it in the future. My goals is to really leverage it in 2023, so we're not going to get to see a whole lot, but I want to make a couple videos this week or this year about what I did to bring it out and expose it and do all of that. All right. So let's get into security. The first thing I'm going to bring to your attention is this. I always talk about configuration is probably the biggest way of having security problems. Probably the biggest thing I see out there is configuration issues, whether it's Kubernetes or whatnot. And a new blog post that was done, partially done with Google. This person on Medium compiled some of it. I have both pages up, but we'll look at both. Is the majority of PostgreSQL servers on the internet are insecure. Now, there's a couple things that horrify me about this, and I'm not like the biggest database person out there. Do not expose your database to the internet. Like, just don't do it. There's almost no reason. And maybe if you have an edge case, please let me know. I'd love to hear it because it'd be an interesting edge case. There's no reason to expose your database to the internet, period. Like, there should be no way to hit these databases. Step 1 of database security, just don't expose it. Anyways, now I have to assume that of these, there are a lot of like, I don't know, people playing around with Postgres. That has to be my assumption. That has to be my assumption. Of the, there's only 192 that require SSL, and if you're exposing it publicly, you should require SSL. So, anyways, this goes through and shows some more of the graphs that were given out there. I really have to assume though that the majority of production Postgres databases just aren't exposed to the internet, and that's. I have this alarm almost every single time, and I forget that I need to just disable that for Monday morning. This is when I normally wake up. Okay. Yeah, that's a good one, Rubber Cable. I wasn't even thinking about that. Bandwidth costs could bankrupt you if somebody exploits table scan searches. If all they want to do is cost you money, which I know Russell is now thinking about this, they're just going to do, they can do stuff just to cost you money. Holy crap. Yeah, so it's not even a viable, it's not even viable if you're just playing around with it, because if you're running this on a cloud, you could cost you money in a database. Oh man, crap, don't do it. Be careful, people. I know it might be annoying to put it behind something where you have to SSH to it, but deal with annoying. Deal with annoying. Good morning, Rubber Cable, by the way. All right, anyways, so we'll continue to move on. But yeah, so basically, my advice is don't expose your database and put it behind something like an API gateway that is designed to handle that type of stuff. Now, if you have to do it, there are ways to make it secure, for sure. I'm not saying that Postgres or any other database out there is insecure by default and can't be exposed. I'm just saying a lot of the times it's the easiest way is just not to expose it. Most of the time you don't want people directly touching your database anyways. You want to do that. You want to store stuff specifically in a specific way and whatnot. So anyways, then I did find this transparency report with it, which is this, it has this HTTP encryption on the web. This is fantastic. Look at this. 95% across Google is HTTPS. That is fantastic. And this is a lot due to Let's Encrypt. Let's be honest. Let's Encrypt made it easy to, and made there be no reason not to have a HTTPS for your website. And that's why I did such a big deal around the passing of one of its founders. Was really Let's Encrypt revolutionized this. It made this fantastic. So there's some other interesting information. I'm going to leave a link to this transparency report in there because it's interesting to look over just from like Windows, Android, Chrome, Linux, or Mac. Some of the things that are interesting here that I think would be really interesting. First, Linux is one of the lower ones for HTTPS, which I would have assumed Linux users were much higher on the going to use HTTPS. But what I'd love to know here is if you look, Chrome is the highest. Google has really pushed Chrome users to use HTTPS, and they've built it into the browser. I wonder if you broke out Linux into Linux Firefox and Linux Chrome, if that's the difference. But Firefox also pushes for HTTPS, so I'd love to see that breakout. I know that they don't have that data for Firefox per se, but anyways, it would have been interesting and something I think would have helped me understand this data a little bit better. But anyways, they break it down by a lot. So you can even look at it by country. Let's see. Indonesia seems to be the least secure, and the United States is the most. Although that line with Germany's also up there. Germany and another country. I can't select the other. France. So, anyways, it's fun to look through. Go ahead and look at it. This absolutely disgusts me. I dislike it when people exploit other people. So, ransomware attack delays patient care at hospitals across the United States. It disgusts me. Every ransomware attack is horrible, but, like, businesses are businesses, and I get it. But when you're actually hurting people that have health issues for money, this disgusts me. Whoever you are, you've hit an absolute new low. And yeah, that's all I'm going to say there. Absolute new low. Okay, let's move on. New Android malware, Milade, can steal your data, record audio. That's kind of horrifying. We need a new phone provider. That's what we need. Not because of security, but yeah. All right, Lazarus hackers abuse Dell driver bug using new FUD module rootkit. Rootkits are particularly nasty. And so here's another rootkit. Let's see. Let's find something more fun. Let's see. Windows 11 22H2 breaks provisioning. I put this in the security. It's breaking provisioning, leaving Windows 11 Enterprise endpoints partially configured, failing to finish installing, which I felt was like a security because it's like availability, but it's also just shame on you, Windows 11 Enterprise. So shame on you. And our last one, Intel 12th Gen Alder Lake CPU source code reportedly leaked following hacks. Boy, the fact that you it's comfortable. You run code on your CPU. It's amazing how much code runs on your CPU, and it's really interesting to look at. So that's all I'll say there. %90 of Chrome OS users. It's about 9 users. Oh, Chrome OS. Oh. Wait, have they not canceled Chrome OS? I feel like they canceled Chrome OS. 1 second, let me, I feel like with how often... No, because that powers their Chromebook, right? I always feel like Google cancels stuff super easily. That's what we call it, pulling a Google. And at least that's what I call it. Whenever somebody cancels stuff that everybody uses, I call it pulling a Google. And I guess Chrome OS hasn't become popular enough for them to cancel. I guess that's what it is. My understanding is that Intel still runs a version of Minix on the I don't know that it's like straight Minix, but a version of Minix on the CPU. I actually think that Minix is by far a better OS than Linux if you're looking at just pure architectural wise. Linux has a huge community, and for that, I think it's a better OS. But if you're asking me technically, I think Minix is by far the superior OS between the two. There have been some others. There's a new OS written entirely in Rust that looks interesting. They have an interesting take on some stuff. I haven't played around too much. For some reason, it's escaping my mind, but it starts with an R. I haven't played around too much with it, but it's definitely interesting. Yeah. Rubber Cable, I'm not going to show yours. I try to keep this a PG-13. I don't know. That that maybe it's great in Discord. It's perfect place in Discord to put that. I guess that's probably PG-13. It's fine. I might show that. React OS, that's what it is. I could remember that it was R, but yeah. Yeah, it's Chrome OS. Is Chrome OS RISC-V? I don't think so. Oh, do you know what? That's something I don't have for this week, but I meant to. I must have put the link in the wrong place. I know it's not one of my tabs, so we're going to cover it right now. Special breaking news. We're interrupting our normally scheduled. We were about to jump into the clouds, and that would have been a travesty because there is, and let me find the link to it, but I'll talk to you while I'm looking for the link because somebody linked it, and I was thinking, oh yeah, I'm definitely covering that, and I already found the link, or I already had it, the link saved, but I obviously didn't. All right. Well, here's a link. Looks legitimate. All right. World's first laptop with RISC-V processor now available. If the manufacturer wants to send me one, I would be happy to put it through its paces and make a YouTube video about it. I'm not sure this was the best link, but yeah, anyways, Tom's Hardware is usually good, legitimate, so that's pretty exciting. Rubber Cable, the Linux kernel is supposed to include a lot of Rust, right? So the Linux kernel 6.1, stay tuned. I actually have a little bit on that. So yeah, let's talk about it. But it's 6.1 if you're wanting to know the exact version with Rust, and I'm going to show you some of the Rust that's actually in the kernel. Because I'm not biased about what the most superior language is. You all know that. I'm absolutely not biased at all. All right, let's jump into the clouds. All right. Introducing G-Cloud storage, up to 94% faster data transfer for cloud storage. I think this is up to 94% faster than their previous offering because their previous cloud storage sucked. So anyways, it's out there. It's faster. It's better. Use it. All right, if we go to the what's new, they have this rapid vulnerability detection, a zero configuration service and security command center premium that detects vulnerabilities. This is something that you pay for. It's not free, but it's good, and you might want to check it out. And then they continue to push their advanced log analysis with BigQuery. They just did this thing where you can like immediately push your information into BigQuery from logs and stuff like that. So if you're in GCP and you're wanting to deal with that, check it out. Another thing that is about to get Googled is they did a whole new release of Nest products. Now, why am I bringing this up? Is mainly because I'm here to tell you I would never use these. And you guys are smart enough, but it's your non-technical family members that need to understand never to use Google hardware. And some of the reasons is, did you know that their Wi-Fi actually has to log in with your account to actually work as a Wi-Fi? So it means that if it doesn't have internet access, it doesn't work. Now, I don't know if they fixed that in this new version, but the last version had that problem. Literally, it wouldn't serve you Wi-Fi unless if it could talk to Google. I'm sorry, I'm good. I'll take my crappy Ubiquity phone home over that. At least it works without an internet connection. Literally, there was a 4-hour outage of Google authorization, so you couldn't log into your Gmail, and their Wi-Fi routers went down because they couldn't log in. It's a disaster. It's a class study in how not to design a system or hardware. Also, the U.S. Army chooses Google Workspaces. So yeah, Google Workspaces is interesting, and the Army is now adopting them, which kind of surprised me, honestly. I wanted to assume that they would use Workspaces. Let's move on to Azure. Almost similarly uninteresting stuff. Public preview, Azure Firewall Basics. Now, I always talk about how Azure has a really great firewall. I've accidentally made Rubber Cable start using Rust. You know what? My mission here as a YouTuber has been, I'm good. I'm good. I've gotten one person to accidentally learn Rust. I'm actually thinking about doing some Rust stuff because I've learned a lot making the database in Rust. I'm also making Project Legion in Rust. I'm learning a lot, and I probably need to start doing, I probably should do like a class on Rust, but that's going to be next year. Easily next year. Anyways, Azure Basic Firewall. This is actually really cool because I talk about Azure's firewall being really awesome, but their premium firewall is pretty expensive. And it's nice, but it's pretty expensive. And this basic firewall looks to bring some really awesome stuff as a cost-effective solution for all of these different things. So that's really cool because also if you look at these are like the main things that you want. I feel like Azure Firewall Basic covers 95% of people's use cases, which is fantastic because then it's only those people that really need to leverage the premium that have to pay that premium price. I'm excited about this. I'm very excited about this. This is biggest news in Azure. Actually, this is probably the biggest thing around the clouds that I saw this week. Excited about it. And I don't even use Azure. So like, yeah, it's the one cloud that I don't have, I have as little knowledge as possible on. Public preview, Azure Firewall Basics. All right. Oops, I covered that twice. All right, general availability, smart tiering to Vault Archive tier for Azure Backup. Kind of a cool tool if you don't know it. Vault Archive is like their really, 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 really cold storage, and they have this smart tiering to Vault Archive tier for Azure Backup, which can help save you some money. And it's going generally available, which means it's available in more places. And it has a terms of service. I almost said, oh crap. SLA. It has an SLA, not a terms of service. It started with terms of service. It has an SLA now. Azure Static Web Apps extended support for .NET Core 3.1 ends, and this is a really old version. They just released .NET Core 7, or it's about to be released. It's probably hopefully going to be released in a couple weeks. Release candidate 1 is out, so it's a pretty old version. Let's jump into AWS. All right, let's see. There wasn't very great news. reInvent is coming, so I have a bunch of garbage news up for AWS, but it could be pertinent. There's new local zones in Delhi and Taipei. So if you don't know what a local zone is, this is a great time to dive into what a local zone is. Local zones are basically edges that are a little bit closer. So if you're writing some application that you want to have millisecond latencies and you can run a container or something right at the edge to handle that, that's what these local zones are. They're not full data centers. They're not anything like that. They're these little data centers that are out and close. They're really the edge computing. So if you need something that needs that millisecond, or you want to collect some stuff closer out to the people, that's where you're going to want to do it. So yeah. The ransomware on iPhones is the App Store. I love your guys' communication. I don't respond to everything that happens in it, but join the live chat. It's fantastic. You guys are fantastic. All right, so I get more distracted by it than anything else, though. But AWS announces AWS SAM serverless connectors. Let me just read this. I don't know why I selected this. One second. I need to think about what past Merrick was thinking of why this was important. All right, you guys are reading it with me. I think that this could be useful to a couple people, but I really need to look at this AWS Service Connector resources. I don't think that I understand this fully, but it's new. And past Merrick probably put it in my list to be more investigated. That's probably where I'm at. So I've dropped the ball on this one. I usually try to dig into the ones that I really don't know, except sometimes on Azure. Sometimes on Azure, I'm like, oh, that looks interesting, but I'm not that interested. Purpose-built AWS identity and access management policies in order to facilitate the interaction defined by the developer in the connector resource. So this is all about connecting serverless to resources, and probably is super useful if I understood it better. All right. AppStream 2.0 now supports webcams while streaming Linux applications and desktops. This is cool to see Linux get a little love. Normally you don't. That's why I picked it. I was excited to see Linux get a little bit of love on some of these things. I haven't actually used AppStream 2.0 to stream webcams and desktops from Linux. Amazon Pinpoint is now in US East region. So the Ohio region, which I think is US East 2. So anyways, don't quote me. So if you use Pinpoint, US East 1, Virginia, has been supported. So basically it's getting more availability. AWS Storage Gateway now supports 15 terabytes, tibabytes of tapes. Whew, that's a lot for a tape. From 5 tibabytes to 15. That's awesome. AWS Config now supports 15 new resource types. Now, we talked about AWS Config because it got a price reduction just recently, a couple weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. And now they lets you support 15 more resources, from guard duty to simple email service, AppSync, Cloud Map, EC2, and App Config. So awesome. If you're using AWS Config, you should check out the new resources and see if it's something that has been missing for you. All right, let's see. Bringing the best live video streaming experience to Cloudflare. Now, Cloudflare has just been releasing a ton of stuff, and I realize it. Kind of adding them as the small child to the three big ones. That's how I see it. I believe that they're larger than Oracle because more than 0 people use them. Now, this is really important with another piece of news, and I'm before covering all of Cloudflare, because Cloudflare actually has two pieces of data of news. I wanted to talk about this AV-1. AV-1 is huge, absolutely huge. I don't really care that Cloudflare supports AV-1 in that I don't have plans on using it. I do care because AV-1 is a new encoding spec that is going to help a lot, but it's also open source spec, which means that as soon as we get hardware level oh wait. I've always said AV-1 will never get big support if it doesn't have hardware encoding, but the new Intel Arc has hardware encoding of AV-1. Yeah, that's amazing. Hopefully, now I know that Intel Arc's CPU or GPUs are not great, but I might get one as an encoding card just for streaming. Like, that would be really cool, because I have been thinking I'm going to be doing a lot of work this winter on Legion, and I've been thinking about building a streaming PC, and I've been thinking about putting like a capture card in it, but maybe I put one of the cheaper Intel Arc cards in there for AV-1 encoding, because you get better quality stream for less energy. It's actually really fantastic, and hopefully will drive other people to support AV-1 coding. I know you guys probably aren't that interested in it. I'm sorry to rant on this for a little bit. I'm just really excited about this. Like, I feel like Cloudflare and Intel and whatnot, it's coming together. It's like Rust in the kernel. Oh wait, we're not quite there yet. Can you even buy an Intel Arc card yet? I don't think so. I think that they're coming out I think they're like supposed to hit the shelves in November. I can Google it. 1 second. I'm good at Googling. I'm a professional software engineer. You don't make professional software engineer without being good at Googling. When does Intel Arc come out? October 12th. So we're really close to being able to buy one. If this is correct. All right. Back on to Cloudflare. I am really excited about this, though. I will probably buy an Arc GPU just to support having a third player. I know that they kind of suck, but they suck less than my really old GPU, so like it's gonna be a bump up for me anyways. All right. Actually, I don't know. I'd probably still buy an AMD one. Anyways, Cloudflare pages get even faster with early hints. So they're making early hints, or they're supporting early hints, something that's been in Chrome for a while. Oops, I switched back to my face. You guys don't want to see my face. Media caching is a massive undertaking, especially because media companies pre-encode video to different formats. Yeah, they transcode it to a bunch of different ones for the exact same clips. That's right. When you click on 4K or 1080p on YouTube, they've already transcoded it into those different ones, and yeah, it's a big deal, and a lot of stuff goes into that. Actually, really, something I don't have the news on, but probably should cover is YouTube. I think they said that only premium members, people that pay, can do 4K. That's actually going to hurt me. I always upload in 4K and record everything in 4K, which has been a huge pain for me because 1080p would be easier. But one of the things that I have found is 4K is easier to read text, and I do a lot of text. And so I find that it's easier to read the text if I do it in 4K. So I go through all that pain, and they're going to make it so that you have to pay to have the 4K. And one of my big things is that I'm trying to put educational material out there that you don't have to pay for. And I guess you don't have to pay for the 1080p, but I don't know. Whatever. That's part of the news. I think you're right, Russell, that the 4070 is the sweet spot for price and performance. That's generally the case. The 80 series and the 90 series, you're not paying price performance. You are getting those upper echelons of things. Yeah, I need to find an alternative place for like super fans to find my footage that doesn't degrade in value, like in quality. They're expensive though, so like there are places I could put the stuff, and I think that it would be nice, but I'd have to pay for them, and I can't afford to pay for them. So we'll see. All right, so early hints are supported in Cloudflare. Let's move on to the last cloud news, and then we're going to get into some Linux, and then we're going to get into open source. I promise. Absolutely promise. The first thing here, or the last thing, the first thing and the last thing is Walmart blazes trails with its enterprise super cloud. This is something I actually had a startup idea I didn't get funding for like 3-4 years ago. And basically, the super cloud is what I call the non-cloud, is where you have a cloud experience, but it's not any one cloud. It gives you those same features across all the clouds. You could pick one or all three of the clouds to run the workload on, and would enable your multi-cloud strategy. Almost letting you seamlessly and painlessly shift resources between the clouds to whichever one is giving you the best price at the time. I think I didn't get funding because I had never done something like that. I'm not a big player. I don't know the right names. Or maybe it's just because I'm an idiot. That also is quite possible. And so yeah, anyways. But they're definitely not blazing trails, I wouldn't say. But they're definitely going for it. All right. So here is the commit everyone is talking about. Oh, gosh. Started Oleans fans for... All right, how much are you willing to pay Rubber Cable per month for my Kubernetes videos? Put a dollar figure on it. And I'll start my OnlyFans null channel. All right. Let's get back to some actual news. Merging of the tag Rust. This one has been sitting out there for a very long time, and we're all very excited about it. There are a lot of people that worked on this. This is all the names of the people that worked on it, or at least a lot of the people. Thanks to these 173 people, there's a lot of code that's in here. There will actually be Rust in the Linux kernel, only a little, and most of it is just to support other people writing Rust in the future. These don't actually bring a feature to Rust, but there's actually some Rust. I actually have pulled up some of this Rust, where they create their own box type. I actually was digging into this one because I found it really interesting of why they created their own box type. And it's actually pretty cool because they have, basically it's a box type that does some C I can't think about how to say the word, but it interacts with C and the C, null pointers or void pointers and things like that. And so it actually interops with them quite seamlessly, which is something that they would really want. So anyways, it was a cool little thing. And you know what? This is how I learned to program myself, was looking at open source. And now I made some really bad choices and learned some really horrible things. But this is a great way to start learning. Now, maybe not the kernel. They do some weird Rust like this that maybe is not the best place to start. This is hard to read. What is a squiggly? What is a tilde const allocator and a tilde const destruct? These are more advanced. Not a great way to learn, but it's a great way to learn once you have a good foundation. Definitely then. So yeah, this is actually merged in. It will be in 6.1. It'll be in 6.1. So that is out there. Yeah, Rubber Cable, that had been my idea. Hybrid cloud as a service. And I know it sounds dumb, but let me put it this way. Multi-cloud is hard, but there's actually some good reasons to do multi-cloud, and some companies have a mandate to do multi-cloud. For example, your banks sometimes have to run stuff in multi-cloud. And multi-cloud isn't worth it most of the time. That's what I would argue. Most of the time, multi-cloud is a waste of money, a waste of engineer time, a waste of hardware. It's just a waste of money. Because the engineering required to support two clouds is massive, is vast. So the idea was, can we make a platform that makes it simple? Say I want to run my Kubernetes cluster in Azure and AWS and just be done and interact with it like one Kubernetes cluster, stuff like that. That was the idea. Yeah, and then you would also not have vendor lock-ins. In mine, it was going to be open core, so you wouldn't actually have vendor lock-in. If anything happened to us, you could actually host that control plane that was doing all of the logic yourself. You could run it somewhere yourself and provide your own, super cloud, as other people call it. I called it something else. I coined a different word, and yeah, that was kind of the idea behind it. Oh, right, Russell. That's what I'm saying is, like, it's expensive to do double cloud. Think about it. And this was actually one of the things my idea could actually help with was like dynamic, like, do you need to have two clouds, one with a hot swappable, basically where it's running everything right now so that there's zero downtime? Or do you need a second cloud that's on standby that could have everything running within an hour? If that's what you need, it can be a whole lot cheaper. It can only have like the very bare minimum as you start to scale that out when you have major degradations in your main cloud. So like that was some of the things that my super cloud was hopefully going to solve, was some of those types of things where it becomes much more feasible to do a multi-cloud without paying completely for it. Yeah, like a hot warm. That's exactly right. It was going to be the cost effective solution for multi. You can have the hot standby, but hot standbys are expensive, and most people don't need that type of reliability. They need something that says, no, there's a major incident, I have recovery in this region, and I can just go with it. Yep. All right, let's move on. Oh, here was some clickbait. Debian made a few small changes. Now, I saw a lot of people misrepresenting this. One second, let me. To what free or non-free code was in the Debian core. They have not gone closed source by any means. Was somewhat of an attempt of clickbait from me, but they did make some updates to make it a little bit easier for people that required non-open source things like GPU drivers. One of the reasons I love Ubuntu is because my laptop comes with an NVIDIA card, whether I like it or not. I can't buy an AMD card for it. That's just what it came with. And Ubuntu made it really easy for me to get the drivers for it, even though those drivers are proprietary. And Debian is making it a little bit easier for you to get those proprietary drivers if you so need them. So I think it's a good a good thing. I personally like it. Meta warns 1 million Facebook users their login info may have been compromised. So that's about half of the users of Meta. Maybe most of them. I don't know. All right, that's it for the news. Let's jump into the open source. Now, half of these things came from you guys. I'm going to try to mention if it came from the community, although there were also some overlaps of stuff that I already was planning on covering. So yeah, we'll see. Some of these are purely from you guys. Some of them I didn't even know about myself, which was awesome because I started to dig into them. I'm going to start with some of my favorites, and then we'll move on from there. Now remember, if you want your project, next week we're doing security, so make sure to either leave a comment with your favorite open source security projects, or drop in. There's a live stream Discord. Drop your links there. Maybe at me on them just to make sure I see them. All right, first one. I think this one brings, quite possibly, the easiest storage to Kubernetes. And that's Project Longhorn from Rancher was the original ones. They have donated to the CNCF. So yeah, Longhorn is a CNCF incubating project. I do find it the easiest way to bring storage into your Kubernetes cluster. I really do. And it mostly just works. I really, really like it. Yep. So, anyways, another one that I really, really like that seems to be really easy and just works is MinIO. And this brings S3 compatible storage to your Kubernetes clusters. It's another pretty much, I don't know, you might be able to run MinIO. I know that you can run MinIO because I run it in a container all the time. There are two really good uses for MinIO. Two really good uses. The first one is if you want to run locally, but in the cloud you want to hit like an S3 back storage, but locally you don't want to do that. MinIO is great. You can run it in Docker Compose or using Tilt or whatnot, and you can run locally while hitting something that has an S3 compatible API. So it's fantastic that way. But it's also fantastic if you have the SRE staff or whatnot to also be running and maintaining your own S3 data storage. If that's something you want to do. I generally don't want to, but if you want to. All right, then we have OpenEBS. Another really great yeah, sorry. A lot of mine are around Kubernetes. I'm a horrible person. Not all of them are, though. Not all of them. Just a lot of them. OpenEBS is another super easy one. And the reason I'm bringing these up is my next one is not super easy, but it's a good one. It's probably less favorite over Longhorn and MinIO, but it's good. It's probably the most popular by far. Lots of people use OpenEBS. Super well tested and used. So definitely worth a check out if you're looking for that. My next one is, if you wanted what I thought was the most technically best storage system, it would be this. But it is also difficult. It is also difficult. And that's Ceph. Ceph is amazing. Don't get me wrong. It is super powerful, super amazing. Technically, better than all the other things that we have talked about. It is based off of some white paper by Google, I believe. I don't remember. Don't quote me on that one. But it's amazing. But it is painful. If you've ever set up a Ceph cluster, I had to do this at SUSE multiple times, and multiple times I regret making life decisions that made me have to do that. But it's there. Oh, Russell, you guessed it. Is it going to be Ceph? Yep. Yes, you guessed it. It's Ceph. I really do like it. Um, it's a technical feat. And you know what? Honestly, I have to say, if you need it, it does solve problems, edge problems that none of the other ones solve. So if you need, you know, images up to 16 exabytes, yeah, Ceph can do it. The other ones can't. That's just, yeah. OpenEBS, I think, kind of peters out around the a couple petabytes. You know, so absolutely, Ceph is amazing. It just, I wouldn't use it unless you actually need it, and if you actually need it, it's probably fine. You don't have to use OpenStack to use Ceph. Ceph is a standalone project, can be used in Kubernetes. Actually, one of the projects later on is a project that helps you with Ceph on Kubernetes. It has F3 and Swift compliant APIs, S3 style subdomains. It has a RESTful interface, whatever. That's as an object store, but it also has block device and the file system. So Ceph is really good. I'm not hating on it. It's just really rough. All right, GlusterFS. This was both a community. Ceph was a community and one of mine. GlusterFS was one of the same as well. I'm going to have to speed up because I only have 8 more minutes because I do actually have a meeting I need to be at in 7 minutes now. So I'm going to get going a little bit faster, but GlusterFS is good if you need it. Gluster is a software-defined distributed storage that can scale to several petabytes. It's easier than Ceph, but it has downfalls. But it's really good. Who scales to more than a couple petabytes anyways? Not many people. All right. Moving on. No. Okay. ButterFS is a really good file system. I was going to also say that there's OverlayFS. So if we're talking about Linux file systems, there's ButterFS, which is a read-only, and it's like basically if you make a change to ButterFS, to the file system, you actually have to make, it's actually read-only, and you have to actually make a new partition with all the changes and then actually commit that. And basically, it's a really great, one second, let me make this larger. It's a really great file system to run in production. Now, another really cool thing, and why I don't have OverlayFS up, what I really like about OverlayFS is in production, you could have a reason to write to some things. And so a lot of people will run ButterFS for your like Linux install, you know, something that you want to be immutable or read-only. And then the other place that has like user stuff be in a different file system. And that's where OverlayFS comes in with ButterFS and some other file system. Yeah. So this one is a community pick, SeaweedFS. I had never heard of SeaweedFS, but it is a simple and highly scalable distributed file system. There are 2 objectives: store billions of files and to serve the files fast. Lightning fast. That is actually a really good point here that we haven't made. Some of these, like Longhorn, can store massive amounts of data, but it kind of gets a little slow if you get to I'm talking about like petabytes of data. It gets slow. Ceph doesn't have those problems. Doesn't have some of those fallbacks. Seaweed says it stores billions of files. My real question to them is, does it store billions of files that are large or store billions of small files? There's actually a difference. I'm interested to know. And what constitutes as fast? Is a second fast for billions of files, or is sub-milliseconds fast? I don't know. I'd like to know. But this looks really cool. I've never seen it before. It was really cool of the community. All right. Rook is the thing that I was saying actually can help with Ceph. So I'm a little disappointed. I haven't used Rook for like 2 years now, But Rook used to support a lot of plugins. It was supposed to be the Kubernetes operator for storage, but it doesn't seem to be that anymore. It looks to be the operator for Ceph. If you look at their Cassandra and NFS, they basically just tell you that it's deprecated and check out the Cassandra operator. And the same, and so there is this Cassandra operator that I just found. This was new to me. If you're looking at Cassandra, there's this Cass operator. So this is cool. I'm kind of sad that it seems to not be part of Rook anymore. Rook is just a Ceph now. Maybe this is for the better. I don't know. You need a section on the null cloud that highlights those storage options in a plot for capacity versus speed and access. I will do that as soon as I get some sponsor for 10 grand, because I'm going to spend at least that trying to make those plots for you all. I have a general idea, but to make actual empirical data for it requires a lot of testing. And when you're talking about the petabytes, even if the test only runs for an hour, it's still a petabyte of data. So I would absolutely love to have the null cloud store some of that type of stuff. 100%. I have to make some money before I actually do that. Yeah, that's what I'm going to say on that. But I would love to do that. Absolutely love. If your company would love to sponsor something like that, let me know. Contact me. All right. Let's move on. So I found this Cass operator. This is from DataStax Kubernetes operator. It looks pretty cool. Never used it. But yeah, looks pretty cool. So those are our open source storage. I know I rushed a little bit. I literally have 2 minutes left. 2 minutes left. All right, if you like this, go ahead and like it. Go ahead and hit that like button. If you did not like this, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, stick around and see if it gets any better, and leave me a comment on how I could make it better. If you like databases, this Friday it's going to be a new release. Okay, I could start with that, Russell. I could start with that. Have yourselves a fantastic week. I will see you guys next week. Hopefully not so rushed. Spend a little time. Remember, open source projects around security. Love to see them. Love to hear what your guys' thoughts are. See you next week. Awkward pause.